In the era of ego, where athletes demand every last cent, one man just rejected $113 million at the absolute peak of his career. But do not be confused. Jalen Brunson is not a martyr, and he didn't do it out of charity. What you are about to see is the most ruthless power play in the history of modern sports. A legal Machiavellian hack, the unseen play, designed to destroy his rivals and take ownership of the league. To understand how a man willingly gives up a fortune, you first must understand how the system broke his trust. This is not a story about basketball. It is a story about structural manipulation. Jalen Brunson was not born into privilege. He was born inside the machine. His father, Rick Brunson, spent 9 seasons in the NBA as a journeyman guard, cut from rosters 8 or 9 times, chasing unguaranteed one-year contracts. Every season, the same countdown. Survive until January 10th or get erased. Jalen watched it happen in real time. He remembers his father running himself into exhaustion on a treadmill, training for a job that might not exist by morning, while a young Jalen rode his bike in slow circles beside him, just to be near him. For Jalen, pressure was never a buzzer beater. Pressure was watching his father's career die in silence and being powerless to stop it. Then, in 2014, the instability turned into public humiliation. Rick Brunson was arrested, accused of assaulting a masseuse, using the alias of his former Knicks teammate, Patrick Ewing, to book the appointment. He was acquitted a year later. The damage was permanent. Jalen was a senior in high school, one of the top recruits in the country, watching his family's name dragged through the press. The world will humiliate you in public and forget about you in private. So he built a wall, cold, silent, stoic, aimed directly at basketball. At Villanova, under Coach Jay Wright, that wall got a name: attitude. A system built to execute one brutal command: kill your own ego before someone else does it for you. Brunson won 2 national championships there and forged unbreakable bonds with 3 future soldiers: Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo, Mikal Bridges. He left as the best player in college basketball, and still, the professionals looked at him and saw nothing worth gambling on. In the 2018 NBA draft, Jalen Brunson fell all the way to pick number 33, second round. That same draft handed the spotlight and the max contract trajectory to a teenage prodigy from Slovenia named Luka Doncic. Brunson landed with the Dallas Mavericks and was told, essentially, to wait his turn in Doncic's shadow. He waited. He earned every minute off the bench. Going into his contract year, Brunson did something nobody expects from a future king. He played it safe. He wanted the security his own father never had. He was ready to sign for 4 years and $55 million. Team-friendly money, well below his market value, just for certainty. Dallas said no. Twice. The front office, led by Mark Cuban, wanted to wait 20 to 25 games to evaluate him further. Then Doncic went down with an injury, and Brunson stepped in and played like a genuine all-star. His camp came back to the table. Dallas said no again. Rick Brunson delivered the verdict that would define his son's entire worldview. We need to find out if Dallas wants him. No discounts, don't tell me you love him, show me. They never showed him anything. By the time Dallas finally tried to make an offer, it was too late. Jalen Brunson had learned Machiavelli's first lesson without ever opening the book. Loyalty to an institution that will not protect you is not virtue, it is weakness. In the summer of 2022, he walked into free agency and executed a clean corporate coup. Destination: New York City. New York wasn't a random landing spot, it was an inside job. The Knicks' president of basketball operations, Leon Rose, wasn't just an executive evaluating talent, he was Jalen's godfather and Rick Brunson's former agent. He had held Jalen in his arms before his own father even got the chance. Weeks before free agency opened, the Knicks hired Rick Brunson as an assistant coach. A move so suspicious it triggered a league tampering investigation that cost New York a 2025 second-round pick. Mark Cuban called it nepotism. He was wrong. It was infrastructure. Then came the reunion: Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo, and in a blockbuster trade, Mikal Bridges. The Nova Knicks were rebuilt, piece by piece, inside the richest franchise on earth. Now here is the move nobody saw coming. In 2024, Brunson faced a choice: wait one more year for unrestricted free agency and cash in on a 5-year, $269 million supermax, or sign early, take less money, and buy his team room to breathe. Because the league had just built a trap, a financial rule called the second apron, a salary threshold so punishing the industry calls it a death sentence for team building. Cross it, and you lose draft picks, trade flexibility, everything. If Brunson took the full $269 million, the math around him, Karl Anthony Towns, OG Anunoby, the extensions still owed to Hart and Bridges, would have detonated the roster before it ever got a chance to compete. And notice something: getting Towns already had a price. That same year, the front office shipped out Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo, one of Brunson's own Villanova brothers, just to open the door for him. Even loyalty has a price tag inside this machine. Nothing personal, just utility. So Brunson did the unthinkable. He signed a 4-year extension worth $156 million, voluntarily leaving $113 million on the table. Niccolò Machiavelli wrote that a true prince relies on his own loyal army, never on mercenaries he cannot control. Brunson wasn't gambling his money away, he was buying his army back. The media called it a sacrifice. The media was wrong. This was psychological warfare. By taking the pay cut himself, Brunson stripped the ego out of his own locker room. No player could ever complain about their role or demand more money again. Why? Because the king had already taken less. That is not charity. That is the civic stoicism of Marcus Aurelius. A leader controlling the one variable that was ever truly his to control. The 99% are blinded by immediate gratification. They saw a man lose over $100 million. The 1% understand asymmetrical risk. 2 years later, in June of 2026, the bet paid out. The Knicks, fully loaded, fully intact, because of the money Brunson refused to take, dismantled the San Antonio Spurs 4-1 in the NBA Finals. Brunson exploded for 45 points in the closing game, breaking a 53-year championship curse, and was crowned unanimous Finals MVP. His return on that $113 million loss? Infinite. Wall Street partnerships, global endorsement deals, a legacy carved into the biggest market on earth. While other stars fade away as well-paid employees of a broken system, Jalen Brunson engineered an empire. He lost the salary battle to win the empire war. But Brunson's mind is only one blueprint. Every legend who reaches the top is running a version of the same system. A different price, a different trap. Subscribe now, because we're about to open the next one.